Xbox Game Pass has a ton of open world games, but let's be real, sometimes you just don't know what to play next. With games like Starfield and Forza Horizon 5 being great, they're on every single list. So today I'll be bringing you the 20 best open world games you can play on Xbox Game Pass right now in 2025. Some here are brand new, others are underrated gems, but all of them are definitely worth checking out. My name is Fletcher, and this is Xbox Nation. Subscribe down below for more Xbox content every single day, and let's jump right into the games. If you love open worlds but want something truly different, Riders Republic is an absolute blast, and I can highly recommend diving into it, as I've almost put in 2 days of game time into it myself since the game's release. It throws you into a massive seamless playground filled with tons of mountain biking, snowboarding, wingsuit flying, and so much more. You're not just exploring here, you're actually competing in giant online events as well, where 50+ players can race down mountains at some insane speeds. What makes this game so addicting though is the freedom to switch between sports on the fly. One moment you're carving up the snowy slopes, the next you're soaring through the air in a jetpack. The controls here feel incredibly smooth, the world is packed with stunning locations, and whether you're playing solo or online, there's always something wild happening. There is tons of content to dive into, as Ubisoft add to this on a constant basis, but even without the additional stuff, there is easily 50 to 100 hours of content right out the gates. Obsidian is known for making some of the best RPGs out there, and Avowed is their take on an open world fantasy adventure. It's hard to think of a comparison which isn't Skyrim, but I would throw it more in line with their previous work on the Outer Worlds, but with a more insane combat system that actually lets you mix magic, swords, and ranged attacks just however you want. The game is set in the beautiful world of Eora and throws you into a war-torn land where your choices have real consequences. The world feels utterly alive here, filled with factions, lore, and deep RPG mechanics that let you truly shape your journey. The game did receive a pretty good reception upon launch, even though there are some who definitely don't like the game due to the direction it took, but overall I've been really enjoying my time so far in this world and still have loads to uncover. If you love immersive fantasy worlds, compelling stories, and having full control over how you play, Avowed is one of those you don't want to miss in 2025. What if you could literally recruit anyone in an open world game? Well, that's what makes Watch Dogs Legion just so unique. Set in a near-future London, this game lets you build your own resistance against a corrupt system by recruiting NPCs, each of them with their own unique skills and abilities. If you want to sneak around as a stealth expert, or just want to cause chaos with a brawler in a trench coat, you can literally play however you want. The open world here is very dense and alive, packed with tons of missions, side activities, and just tons of creative ways to complete objectives. That said, one of the most underrated aspects in my opinion of Legion, which never really gets spoken about, is its co-op and multiplayer modes, where you can actually team up with friends for 4-player missions and PvP battles. These add a ton of fun and variety to the game, and if you're into open world and exploration and hacking mechanics, this game is really worth trying out. If you don't mind a slightly weaker narrative compared to the other two Watch Dogs games, but want a incredibly detailed urban sandbox just to play in, then Watch Dogs Legion is a solid pick. This next game is not for the faint of heart. Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl is a hardcore survival horror FPS set in a radioactive wasteland. It's actually set in the infamous exclusion zone, and this game throws you into a radioactive wasteland filled with mutants, rogue factions, and supernatural anomalies. With a hardcore survival system that includes hunger, radiation sickness, and weapon degradation, every moment is a fight to stay alive. Unlike most shooters on the market, this game really doesn't hold your hand. One of Stalker 2's standout features here is its immersive non-linear story. Your choices really matter, with multiple endings that change depending on your interactions with different NPCs and factions. Also, alongside this, every single bullet matters, as every decision could be your last, and the atmosphere is genuinely terrifying. If you love survival games with deep world building and intense gunplay, this is one of the most immersive games you'll ever play. I still get nervous walking through most doorways in this game, as I hate how some terrorists jump out with you with no utter warning. The biggest and most ambitious Assassin's Creed game ever made, Valhalla, throws you into the world of Eivor, a Viking warrior carving out a new home in England. It's an open world RPG that blends stealth, brutal combat, and deep storytelling, all set in a massive world filled with tons of activities. Anything from raiding villages, building your settlement, and taking part in huge battles makes this feel more than just an AC game. It's a full Viking experience. Whether you want to follow the main story or just explore at your own pace, there really is tons to do, especially if you want to go for the full 100%, which takes over 200 hours. If you love history, massive open worlds, and action-packed gameplay, Valhalla is still one of the best open world RPGs available on Xbox Game Pass. Some Assassin's Creed fans lamented the shift away from traditional Assassin's Creed games, hence why Assassin's Creed Mirage actually exists, but it's tough to argue that Valhalla isn't an impressive game. Not every open world game is about endless distractions and side quests. Sometimes it's all about that story, and that's where Mafia Definitive Edition really shines. This full remake of the 2002 classic puts you in the shoes of Tommy Angelo, a cab driver who gets tangled in the world of organized crime in 1930s Lost Heaven. Unlike many open world games that bombard you with things to do, Mafia takes a more cinematic approach, delivering an incredibly well-paced, story-driven experience with stunning visuals and tight, period-authentic gameplay. Whilst the world is beautifully crafted, it isn't about sandbox chaos in games like GTA. Instead, it exists to serve the narrative, making you feel like you're living in a gritty mob drama. Every mission here, every car chase, and every gunfight is really purposeful, pulling you deeper into Tommy's journey. If you love crime stories, cinematic storytelling, and classic open world settings, this is a must play, and it's well worth diving into, with Mafia: The Old Country releasing sometime this year in summer 2025. After years of delays, Dead Island 2 finally arrived, and guess what? It's an absolute blast from start to finish. Unlike most zombie games that lean into dark, depressing survival, this one fully embraces the chaos, giving you a gorgeous open world Los Angeles, or as the game calls it, Hell A, and letting you go absolutely wild. The real hook here though is the combat. Every single punch, slash, and gunshot feels brutally satisfying, with zombies visibly breaking apart as you tear through them, and to be honest, I've never seen so much gore in a video game before. The game doesn't just give you a bunch of generic undead enemies, it offers a ridiculous variety of zombie types, each with their own unique behaviors that keep encounters exciting. Whether you're smashing heads with a flaming sledgehammer, electrocuting zombies in a swimming pool, or just exploring the beautifully ruined city, Dead Island 2 never takes itself too seriously, and honestly, that's what makes it just so much fun. There's open world, and then there's open universe. No Man's Sky is the biggest open world game ever made, literally giving you a procedurally generated galaxy with trillions of planets for you to explore. What started as an overhyped disappointment, which I had a pleasure of playing years ago now, has turned into one of the most ambitious and rewarding space exploration games ever made. Thanks to years of updates and improvements, Sean Murray and co at Hello Games have created one of the best spacefaring games we've ever seen. Whether you want to discover new alien species, mine for rare resources, or just build your own planetary base, or if you just want to go across and pilot massive freighters across the stars, the game lets you do it at your own pace, and that's only touching the surface. The beauty of No Man's Sky though is that it's entirely what you make of it. Some players actually focus on the exploration, some love dogfighting in space, while others just build and trade. So if you're looking for an open world experience with infinite possibilities and still getting incredible updates to this day, then No Man's Sky is the game for you. If you love choice-driven RPGs like Fallout New Vegas, then you will absolutely need to play The Outer Worlds. This is another gem on this list developed by Obsidian Entertainment, and this game actually drops you into a corporate-controlled solar system where every planet you visit is packed with dark humor, quirky characters, and decisions that actually matter. Unlike most other open world RPGs that throw you into one massive map, The Outer Worlds is actually split into multiple smaller open areas, each with their own factions, conflicts, and secrets. How you play in this game is entirely up to you. You can be a hero, a villain, or just a sarcastic mercenary looking to make some quick cash. Dialogue is one of the game's strongest features though, offering tons of hilarious, morally grey choices that affect the overall story. The Outer Worlds is packed with choices, humour and action that make every playthrough feel fresh, and with The Outer Worlds 2 coming to Xbox Game Pass later this year, it's well worth diving into this first entry to get your foot into the door of this open world. If you ever wanted to lead an army against Sauron himself, then Middle-earth Shadow of War lets you do just that. Building on the Nemesis system introduced in Shadow of Mordor, this game takes everything up to 11, letting you recruit and command your entire own orc army as you wage war across Mordor. The real standout here though is the combat. Taking inspiration from the Arkham games, fights are fluid, brutal, and packed with cinematic flair, making every encounter feel like an epic battle straight out of the movies. But the Nemesis system is what makes this game just so special. Enemy orcs remember your past encounters, hold grudges, and even evolve over time, making every battle feel unique. The open world here is huge and packed with fortresses to conquer, making for an endlessly satisfying power fantasy. With the news lately that Warner Brothers have shuttered Monolith Productions, which I think is an absolute travesty, this is one of the last games we will see of this most impressive Nemesis system, and from the team behind hits like Fear. Definitely boot this game up on Xbox Game Pass to give the studio a proper send-off. If you're looking for an open world game that feels completely different, then Ghostwire Tokyo delivers a unique mix of eerie atmosphere, first-person combat, and supernatural storytelling. This is actually set in a hauntingly empty version of Tokyo, and the game throws you into a city where almost everyone had vanished and spirits now roam the streets. Instead of using guns, you will wield elemental powers, flinging fire and water attacks at terrifying yokai and ghosts lurking in the neon-lit city. What makes Ghostwire Tokyo stand out though is the way it blends Japanese folklore with modern action gameplay. Exploring the city is a visual treat, packed with creepy alleyways, glowing torii trails, and hidden secrets for you to uncover. Whether you're unraveling the mystery behind the disappearances or just wanting to wander throughout Tokyo's abandoned streets, there's always something intriguing around the corner. If you're into supernatural stories and unique combat, this is a must-play on Xbox Game Pass. This next game is one of my absolute favourites on this list, and yes, I have 100% the game just to show my love and appreciation for how good it actually is. If you love Jedi Fallen Order, then Jedi Survivor takes everything great about it and cranks it up. Cal Kestis returns this time, now a more experienced Jedi, navigating a dangerous galaxy filled with Imperial threats, bounty hunters, and ancient secrets. The world, of course, is bigger, more open, and packed with more planets for you to explore. I think one of my favourite worlds here has to be Kobo, as I prefer that sort of lush, jungly atmosphere, but then again, the deserts of Jeddah were pretty unique, if not annoying with some of those sandworms. Combat has also been massively improved from the first entry, offering new lightsaber stances, force powers, and even the ability to dual wield some lightsabers. Exploration, of course, in these games is a huge part of the overall experience, with tons of activities and secrets that really do encourage you to go off the beaten path. If you've ever dreamed of experiencing an open world Star Wars adventure, then this really is a great add to the Xbox Game Pass library that is totally worth experiencing. See, I bet you didn't realise that this next game was open world. South Park games don't just copy the look of the show, they feel exactly like you're playing an extended episode, and The Fractured But Whole is no exception. This time, the gang ditches fantasy for a more superhero-themed adventure, complete with rival factions, ridiculous superpowers, and some of the best parody writing in all of gaming. You will create your own hero, of course, choosing from hilariously over-the-top abilities like summoning deadly farts, or just using time manipulation to confuse enemies in turn-based combat. The game's open world here, even though it's in that sort of 2.5D format that we know and love, perfectly recreates South Park and fills it with tons of side quests, ridiculous encounters, and plenty of hidden jokes for longtime fans. Even if you're not usually into that sort of turn-based combat here, the fights are really strategic, fast-paced, and always entertaining. If you love RPGs with great humour, or just want an open world game that doesn't take itself too seriously, then this is one you can't skip. At this point, Far Cry is a well-known formula, but Far Cry 6 refines that formula into one of the best open-world shooter experiences out on the market. Even though many of you prefer Far Cry 5 for the story, I couldn't recommend Far Cry 6 more, as the world is just so much more expansive and beautiful. Set in Yara, a fictional Caribbean island under control of a ruthless dictator, you take on the role of a guerrilla fighter, liberating outposts, taking down military strongholds, and causing absolute chaos. The world here is massive and full of variety, from different dense jungles and rural villages to bustling cities. But the real star of the show is the weapons. You can customize some absolutely insane gear here, including a makeshift CD launcher that blasts enemies with Macarena tracks. The game fully embraces that over-the-top nature though, giving you crazy vehicles, animal companions, and explosive action, which to be honest, Far Cry is really known for. If you just want a pure, fun, action-packed open world game, Far Cry 6 is one of the best out there. A game that I actually included in our Hidden Gem video quite recently is up next, and if you like your open world games fast, chaotic, and absolutely insane, then Rage 2 is exactly what you need. Developed by the teams behind Doom, this game throws you into a massive post-apocalyptic wasteland, where everything is about speed, destruction, and over-the-top combats. Rage 2 cranks up the action to 11, letting you chain crazy abilities, launch enemies into the air, and blast through enemy camps like an unstoppable force. The world here is filled with random encounters, mutant-infested towns, and high-speed vehicular combat, making every moment feel like a wild action movie. Gunplay, of course, as you come to expect from the team at id, is incredibly satisfying, especially when you mix in the game's unique superpowers like slam attacks that send enemies flying. If you're looking for an open world game where you can just let loose and have a ridiculous amount of fun, then Rage 2 is a massive hidden gem on the Xbox Game Pass library. If you love fantasy RPGs that let you shape the world around you, Dragon Age Inquisition is one of the best on Game Pass. After the hugely disappointing Dragon Age: The Veilguard, I highly recommend that you dive back into the previous entry, as BioWare were really at the top of their game with this one. As the Inquisitor, you're thrown into a world torn apart by war, magic, and political intrigue. What sets this game apart though is its huge open world, filled with tons of side quests and deep lore, but also its branching narrative, where every choice you make can drastically change the story. The combat is tactical yet fast-paced, allowing you to command your party strategically or just jump straight into the action. The best part overall for me though were the companions. BioWare is known for incredible character writing, and Inquisition delivers some of the most memorable allies in RPG history, and many of which have actually stuck with me all these years later. If you want an RPG that will completely immerse you, especially with its gorgeous open worlds, then you definitely need to check this one out. If you're a fan of Greek mythology and love games like Breath of the Wild, then Immortals Fenyx Rising is a hidden gem on Xbox Game Pass. Set in a stunning, vibrant world inspired by ancient myths, the game puts you in the role of Phoenix, a mortal warrior chosen to take on the gods' greatest enemies. The world here is filled with tons of puzzles, dungeons, and challenging battles, making exploration rewarding and fun, and I had an absolute blast going through this pretty unique experience that I never actually expected from Ubisoft. Combat here is also very fast, flashy, and satisfying, letting you wield godly powers while taking on creatures like Cyclopters, Minotaurs, and Harpies. The humor is also a standout. Zeus and Prometheus narrate your journey, constantly roasting each other and adding a unique charm to this game. If you want a light-hearted yet deep open world experience, this one is well worth your time on Xbox Game Pass. As a brand new addition to Xbox Game Pass for 2025, I highly recommend that you check out Ashen. For those of you who love atmospheric open world games with a challenge, it really delivers something truly special, but do be warned, this game can get fairly difficult. This Souls-inspired action RPG takes place in a mysterious world shrouded in darkness, where you play as a wanderer searching for a new home. The combat is deliberate and punishing, much like the Souls-like series, but it's the co-op system that makes Ashen incredibly unique. The game seamlessly introduces AI-controlled allies or real players into your journey, making every encounter unique and also highly unpredictable, as you really don't know what's around the corner. Even though this game did come out midway through the Xbox One gen, the world is stunningly minimalist, relying on art style and atmosphere to pull you in, and still stands out to this day. It's a game about survival, companionship, and uncovering the secrets of a lost world, and if you love challenging yet rewarding open world experiences, this is a must-play. If you're tired of traditional open world games and want something completely different, Expeditions, a Mudrunner game, is a one-of-a-kind experience. I want to actually focus on this entry in the series compared to SnowRunner, simply due to the landscapes which are truly more varied. Instead of focusing on combat or fast action in this game is actually about realistic off-road exploration, where you take control of heavy-duty vehicles and navigate treacherous terrain in remote wilderness areas. It's not just about driving though, it's about strategy, planning, and overcoming nature itself. You'll need to manage your fuel, use winches to pull yourself out of deep mud, and even set up scientific equipment to study the environment. Every journey in this game feels like an expedition into the unknown, making it incredibly immersive and rewarding. This is a simulation experience through and through, so don't expect a lot of hand-holding or fast-paced gameplay. I really loved my time with this game, and I'm still diving into it now, so it's a high recommendation for myself here at Xbox Nation. For those of you who love the peace and thrill of the outdoors, Call of the Wild is hands down the most realistic open world hunting experiences out on the market, and it doesn't get the recognition that it deserves within the Xbox Game Pass library. Instead of fast-paced action, this game is about slow, methodical tracking, where every step you take really does matter. The open world, of course, is absolutely breathtaking, featuring tons of dense forests, wide open fields, and remote mountains where you'll be tracking animals using realistic sound cues and environmental clues. While the thrill of finding and taking the perfect shot is unmatched, the game really does reward your patience over mindless shooting. Whether you're a hunting enthusiast or just someone who loves immersive nature experiences, Call of the Wild is one of the most relaxing yet thrilling open world games that you can play on Xbox Game Pass. So, what open world game is your favourite on Xbox? Let me know down below. Remember, if you love open world games, hit that like button down below, and let's see if we can break over 1,000 likes on this video. Do subscribe if you're new as well, as I do upload Xbox content like this every single day. Whilst here, and if you want to check out some other open world games, then click the video on screen now. I did cover 20 awesome open world games that were available on Xbox Game Pass in 2024, many of which are still on the service and still worth checking out.